Hey, David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Kate?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me again. I'm so excited to jump back in and learn some more from you today.
Well, I don't know how much I can teach you, but I'm certainly we can discuss things.
I learn from you every time we talk. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. We're going to do episode number 2 of the Legislative Lens. And for those of you who are tuning back in for our second episode, I'm Kat Johnson, and I'm going to just kind of facilitate an awesome conversation with David Ripp today. We're going to talk about all of the things that are on the legislative docket in the state of Ohio that are pertaining to veterans and maybe affecting them in either a negative or positive way. And we're going to bring them to you today. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Well, so David, I feel like everybody should know you, but for those who don't, I'm going to try to give you some justice here. So, for those of you who don't know David, David tracks the legislation and advocates for veterans and military families across Ohio. As the VFW state legislative chairman, he's a frequent voice at the Ohio General Assembly, providing testimony on key issues impacting the veteran community. In 2025, he was appointed by Mike DeWine to the Ohio War Orphans and Severely Disabled Veterans Children's Scholarship Board, further expanding his impact at the state level. He's also a U.S. Navy veteran and hosts the Ohio Legislative Report, where he breaks down the policies that matter most to those who served, which is why you're here to join me today. David, thank you so much for all your service.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's I can only say it's because I like doing it. I love the Navy. That's why I went in there, and I love doing what I'm doing now. Everything I do, if I didn't like it, I didn't do it. It's that simple.
Well, you're very gifted, and I do appreciate everything that you're doing. All right, well, let's jump in. We kind of have a long list, and I had to chuckle because when we talked last week in preparation for this, you said, "You know what, Kat? There's really not a lot going on. We're getting up to the end of the fiscal year," and then by the time we were done today, I had 2 pages worth of notes. So we should probably just jump right in. But I will tell you, as we get started here today, we are going to give you an opportunity to follow David both on Facebook and in his publication that he has. So about every month, right? When we're on top of our game, you can get the legislative report. We're going to talk about a few things that came out in his legislative report yesterday. But this document comes out. It is so full of information. The email address here, I'll put it in the notes, but you can subscribe to this. And it's just full of information that's happening at the state level and has some of David's information. So drop a comment in this stream, wherever you're watching it, or send an email and we'll get you some more information. So let's start with Senate Resolution 324. This is kind of an easy layout, but I think this is great. This has the month of April recognized as Month of a Military Child, which we're recognizing all over the month here. This is a great one to start with.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's a resolution versus being a bill. Resolution just makes it a temporary thing, and as a bill, it becomes part of the Ohio Revised Code and becomes law. But as a resolution, Senators Casey Weinstein and Perry Johnson came up with this at the beginning of the month in March, and or sometime in March it was, but they came up with it, and it follows the federal code of making April the month of the military child. So it's nice. It's just a way of recognizing them because they go through a lot of hardships as they progress as a whatever brat they are, Navy brat or Army brat or whatever. It is for them, and it just recognizes them for what they do and who they are. So,
and there's lots of resources out there for them too. We put that out in Lorain County Vet Services. If you're getting their newsletter monthly, we put a significant amount of resources out there. There are benefits for them, so I think this is a great way to just acknowledge them. And obviously, that's 12-month of the year title that you carry, but this is just 4 weeks out of the year that the attention is brought forth. And I think this is a really great one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about House Bill 192. I heard you were hanging with my buddy Lee Gideon. For those of you who don't know Lee, he is the founder of Alpha 11 and another great veteran advocate out there. But this one is new to me. So at the House Insurance Committee, I believe this one was brought out. And this, again, came out of your legislative report. This is limiting insurer accreditation requirements for pharmacies and implementing drug cost reporting requirements for pharmacy benefit managers. All right, David, how about some English?
I really can't add too much to this. I'm like you. I got a call at the last minute from a lobbyist of one of the organizations, one of the pharmacy organizations that don't like this bill. And they said, this can affect the veterans. And I said, it was not in my radar because nowhere in there does it say veteran, military, or anything like that. So it didn't pop up for me. But I talked to her for a couple hours, two, 3 different times, and finally came to realize that it could. I don't know as it will. The way it's written right now, what we have is the pharmacy benefit managers, the PBMs. Deal with they're the middleman between the pharmacy and the manufacturers of pharmaceutical products or medications and so forth. And I don't have all the answers on this, but they charge the pharmacy an extra 10 or an extra $1.50, something like that per prescription. The public doesn't pay it, but they pay it to or the PBMs pay it to the pharmacy, I guess is what it is, because there's always the little extra stuff in there that's in addition to the medication you're getting, the little bottle, the cotton, whatever else there might be, needs to be covered. And the pharmacies don't want to tack on a dollar surcharge to every pharmacy or prescription they put out. But at any rate, what it amounted to was this could affect, and we're not sure the way it's written if it would or not, but it could affect all the veterans, especially those on TRICARE who get their medications not from the VA prescription, but from the regular pharmacies in town. So we weren't sure, and so I did. I put in a testimony. I didn't go in myself, but I sent them a written one, just saying that it needs to be looked at and needs to be very careful because there's 700,000 veterans in Ohio, and if it's
one of the largest populations,
it's going to be a big deal. So that was what my testimony was. I really can't answer much more than that. I have not heard back from any of the legislators or the lobbyists that originally contacted me, so I'm not sure how much if they're doing other things or not. The big problem is right now is that they're out of session. The legislature is not working right now in Columbus officially, and so nothing's being done right now. They don't go back until May 15th or 13th, something like that, is their next session. So it's going to be a while before we get caught up and figure out where we are on things. And I haven't heard anything on this one. We'll see if something comes up after they get back in session. So
there was lots of testimony submitted on both sides of this one, though. Yes. So I definitely think it's in committee and it will see a little bit more traction before it ends up one way or the other. So definitely one you can keep on your radar for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it. But like I say, I don't know if it really affects us that much, if at all. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, let's talk about House Bill 529. When I saw this one on our list, this one's kind of interesting to me. So this one talks about actually employing vets, and I think this one's pretty interesting. So this is a bipartisan legislation that would provide employers with a refundable tax credit. So what say you?
I think it's a great idea. You can't really do put a veteran out there and say, you need to start hiring at least X number of veterans for every employee or 100 employees you have or anything like that. Supreme Court has put a damper on that and said, no, you can't do that anymore. But this is an incentive to, okay, if you hire, we can give you a tax break, and that's what it amounts to. And I think it's a great idea. And it also hire the spouse of a veteran is nice, because a lot of our veterans are still serving, and the housewife or the house husband is looking for part-time work or full-time work, and it'll benefit them also. But it works on a scale of who you hire, and whether they're part-time or full-time. So it's not just, okay, you're going to get $500 if you do this. It's a scale of anywhere from $100 or $200, whatever, $100 and up to $750 per employee that you hire that's a veteran qualifies under this under the law that would be going into effect with this passes. So I'm definitely for that. I think it's a great opportunity. It says, I think it'll be, everybody wants their state to be the most veteran friendly state.
Yeah.
From the reports I've seen, Ohio ranks somewhere down in the 30s out of the 50 states. And we definitely would like to improve. And this would definitely be a big improvement if a veteran is serving here as is military out at one of the bases here in Ohio. When they get out, this is a reason to stay. So
yeah, I love this. This
employment.
Yeah.
So.
So at Vet Services, you're going to see a huge push for us to help employers here get our veterans back to work or to improve their job. We're doing National Hire a Vet Day. So if you haven't seen this at Lorain County Vet Services yet, those initiatives will be coming out. You can actually do a free LinkedIn class. This is a huge initiative, especially in Lorain County, but Northeast Ohio is reaping the rewards of this. And this is just going to be in addition to it. So I love this one. And, I'm all about helping people get employed. So this one was an awesome one. I was super excited to hear about this one.
I think it's a great bill.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk House Bill 721, a new bill to provide state funding to local veteran organizations to prevent homelessness and help veterans age with dignity and support veteran events.
Overall, yeah, I think it's a great bill. I have a lot of questions, and I haven't had a chance because, as you say, it's a brand new bill. I haven't had a chance to really call and talk to Representative McNally or Lawson Rose. So I'm not really 100% sure on how well it will do or which part of it will do the best. I have a feeling that most veteran posts are going to use the money to fix up their posts. Our posts are falling down.
Right.
Ambest, you name it, their posts are in bad shape. In a lot of cases, and I think $1,000 isn't a whole lot of money, and that's the max they can get in a year. And I think it'll be used for replacing windows or one or two windows, but
right.
it's a start. There are other states. I was actually just doing some research on this when this bill came out, so I put it on the back burner for now, but. There are states that have this program, and it's not limited to just a few $1,000s overall. What is it? 20? Yeah, basically $250,000 is the max they can spend in a year, and there's a heck of a lot of posts out there to split up $250,000. That's not many posts, and not much money for each one. Other states have much bigger programs, and this will be a step toward getting bigger programs. So I'm definitely for it. I definitely want it to pass. If we can improve on this as it goes along, that's fine. Otherwise, next General Assembly, we'll start working on improving it then. So I think
Yeah, in Lorain County, we have the Honor Fund, and we've seen some of our posts here do some amazing things to help that aging veteran, with ADA compliance and getting some of those aging posts a little bit better. But if we can really use some of those funds for the homelessness initiative or, things like that, I think that's really where those funds would be best used, and other initiatives like you're mentioning to improve their posts and keep them safe
yeah.
and healthy for the posts to also thrive. I think that's really great. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this one was in your legislative report, so this is a good one. Senate Bill 179, legislation to verify the veteran status of individuals who are imprisoned or facing imprisonment. So I actually made a couple of notes on this one, and this one is allowing their Veterans Service Commission to still work with them once they're incarcerated and get their financial assistance through the veteran treatment courts. This sounds pretty reasonable to me, David.
Yes, it is. It's not something that likes to be bragged about, but there are a heck of a lot of veterans in prison. The reason, by far and large, the biggest reason is PTSD. They come home, they don't know how to handle the new life that they get stuffed into because they haven't been trained on how to be a civilian again.
Right.
And they go through all kinds of problems. They get into drugs. They do too much booze, you name it.
Right.
And one thing leads to another, and the next thing they know, that they're in prison. And this bill will help them get through prison and get back out of prison. And when they get back out, puts them on a good standing and a big improvement on how they'll be able to handle civilian life again when they get back out. And this is a wonderful bill. I think the sooner we can pass it, the better. It's been sitting there too long already. It'll give them the financial stability they need for training when they get out. Equipment to do their job, that type of thing is exactly what it's definitely not a handout. It's a hand up and get them back to their feet again.
They're the benefits that they earned.
Yeah.
We talk about this.
A much better prisoner to begin with. So
right.
Definitely a great bill.
This is on the road to rehabilitation, right? Like, I mean, it's truly, and it goes along the same lines of vet court. We have some great counties in Ohio that truly have a vet court or a veterans court. And then this would be along the lines of that rehabilitation where they're not just sitting there, again, like you said, they were ill prepared to go back into civilian life. So we're preparing them to then truly be rehabilitated.
This is a bill that was put out by Senator Johnson. Terry Johnson is an outstanding senator when it comes to veterans issues. Not primarily, but in large part because he's a veteran. I never will tell anybody that making you a veteran is going to make you a better legislator. It'll possibly help. It's definitely a plus. But it's not a guarantee you're going to be a good politician. In this case, it is. Outstanding gentleman. Last year, VFW made him their legislative chairman of the year, or congressman of the year. So he does a lot of wonderful things, but he looks at the details. In this case, it's not handing the veteran $1,000 to buy a computer from the state. It's Lorain County Veterans Service Commission can hand them that $1,000 now. Until this passes, they can't do that. And therefore, the veteran is limited, and the people that are there and in line and their whole purpose is to help veterans can't help them. This bill will open that door and create a whole lot more money and ability for these veterans from their county veteran service commissions. So it's an ideal bill.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to skip the next one, David. Let's go down to House Bill 823, legislation to protect the seats of elected officials who are ordered to active military service. We've seen this one in a couple here up north. I know you're down south in the southern part of the state these days, but this one we've seen up here in a couple of situations. This one to me is, I will be honest, I thought this already existed, and now we're facing a bill that needs to be brought to the forefront because clearly we had a gap. So talk to me, friend.
Well, what we have is confusion on a lot of people's part.
Okay.
What we currently have, to the best of my knowledge, because we're dealing with federal law here, which I am not all that great on, the federal law protects a veteran when they get called into active duty. When they come back, the employer has to be able to give them their job back, or a similar job if they can't give them the exact job. That's federal law. But this case is a different situation. We're talking about an elected government official. This is not a paid job that they applied for and were hired at. So therefore, they don't fall under that federal law. Now, what we have, what the cause of this is, there's one of the school board members in Parma is currently deployed, and the school board, I guess this is the second time it's happened, but the first time they didn't do anything. But this time they had a special meeting and discussed what were their rights and laws, what should they do, what can they do, what was allowed, what wasn't allowed. And they had their city lawyers come in and talk to them. It was not determined whether they could do anything or not. The lawyer wasn't 100% sure, from what I understand. I'm just going by newspaper articles here.
Yeah.
So consequently, call the legislator, get the government involved. We now have 3 bills addressing that. That's the one you talked about was just one of them. And it was the second one that came out. And another one came out also the same day. Why this is, I don't know. Why they haven't talked to each other, I don't know. Because they are fairly different. You've got a House Bill 823, you've got a House Bill 824, and you've got a Senate Bill 416. The Senate bill came out April 1st, and the other two came out side by side April 15th. The Senate bill is very simple. It doesn't get into a lot of details. If you print out the bill, it's 4 pages. And 823, I should say, is also fairly simple. It's 3 pages, or it's about 8 pages. I'm sorry, I didn't print them all. And then 824 is even bigger. But what they basically all do the same thing. They go through and change a few things in the current law to make what they're adding to the bill or adding to the law more understandable.
Explicit. Yeah.
So it defines things. What is a veteran? What is an employee? Blah, 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 that type of thing. But then it gets into what does the government have to do or can do or can't do. And that's the part that's being added to the revised code. The Senate bill adds a 3213.111, and the other two House bills add a section 3.171. 171. But what they basically do is define what the government can do to one of their elected employees if they are called up for duty. And what does that service person have to do before he leaves or she in order to qualify for not being fired? And while they're gone, what do they have to do? That's right. That's what the 3 bills do, and each one is just a little bit different than the other. The Senate bill pertains strictly to school boards, which is where the problem was.
Correct.
2 weeks later, the other two bills pertain to any government official, counties, township, city, whatever, in whatever position. So they spent a little bit more time and did a little bit more to it. But all three bills are good to protect the school board member.
Yeah.
And two of them will protect even more people than that. But what they do is basically allow a serviceman to be deployed, and as long as they turn in their requirements that
their orders, yeah,
or whatever, then they can be redacted, taking out anything that needs to be. While they're gone, they can attend the meetings
virtually,
and they list the different ways that it can be done. But that's where we are. None of these bills probably will pass this General Assembly, but something happened in the public that made them move, and they did. You got to remember also, we've got a primary coming up this couple of weeks. So I'm not saying that's the reason they did it. I'm not saying that, but it might be.
Yeah, you can see this cyclical pressure that causes this kind of thing, and the political climate, right? That's why this issue even came to the surface, and it definitely is a hot button. It's we don't live in the Parma School District, and it's definitely affecting our news cycles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I would have thought that it was covered, and it's like I said, I always learn something from you. It is federally covered and not at the state, and I'm an employer, so to me it makes sense that you wouldn't do that to someone, but somebody did. So hopefully it does get squared away, because I think it's just it. To me, it's common sense, but not to everyone. All right, David. Well, thanks for that description. All right, let's cover a few of the items that we did last time, because I know that some of them are open, and we actually had Kim in our comments ask, and Kim, we actually talked about your item last time, so we're going to review it for you real quick. So can you give us just a quick update on the Claim Shark? So House Bill 708, this is a passion project of yours, kind of. Tell me a little bit about where we're at with that, even though things have been kind of low key.
Well, you underestimate your description is underestimated. It is not low key right now. It's nothing right now.
Oh,
since our last podcast that we did and talked about this as a brand new bill, nothing has happened.
Okay.
Just before Easter, General Assembly went on vacation.
Yeah.
They all went down to wherever they go in Florida, and they had a fine time, and they came home, and now they're trying to get reelected at their primary. So that's all that's happened since then.
I will say, I think I hear it talked about in communities that I'm standing in service organizations, people did get the message, because there was such a huge push for it originally. I won't just give you and I credit for it, but just like the initial wave of information, I think people are getting the hint. Not that they're doing anything about it, but people do know they probably shouldn't pay for it to have their claims processed, and that information is getting out. But to your point last time, as soon as we stop talking about it, that's when it's going to surge again. So I just think it needs to remain forefront in people's heads. Do not pay to have your veteran claims processed. And when people decide to come back to work in the legislature, it needs to remain at the forefront.
Right. It's sort of what you just said. I don't think.
Come on, David, what you got for me?
I don't think there's too many organizations. There are a number of individuals, but not organizations, that are against charging for the work to be done. What is required, and that's what most of the organizations are requiring, is that if you're going to charge to have your services allowed for a veteran, you have to follow the federal law that's already there. The problem with the federal law is 30 years ago or whatever it was, they took away the oh man, my mind went blank there. If you when you commit the crime, you get charged with it. They took away
penalties.
All the penalties for the crime. You can commit the crime, but there's no penalty. Who's going to prosecute you for what purpose and so forth? So right now, the federal law is already there. It tells you how much you can charge, how you can charge, when you can charge, and so on. If you're going to charge for your services, it also tells you what you can't do if you're under that jurisdiction. And it also indicates that in order to do that, anybody, in order to do a veterans claim, must have Veterans Administration credentials. They have to go through their training. Those are the two things that we all want. You must be accredited and you must follow the state or the federal law. That's what this does not do. It doesn't make them force them to be accredited, and it doesn't. Although it does say that, there's a lot of wiggle room in their bill that allows them to charge unreasonable fees. So we're not against their choice. If they want to get accredited, which they refuse to do in 20 years, they haven't been accredited. They refuse to, because then they have to limit how much they can charge.
Right.
Because that's one of the things about being accredited. You have to follow the law.
Right.
So consequently,
hardest concept.
Yeah. So consequently, that's what this bill does. It allows them to operate without being accredited and doesn't force them to follow the federal law.
Yeah.
That's why we're against it.
Okay, so we'll keep this one on our list. We'll keep people up to date and still continue. You need to make sure that your claims are being processed by someone who is accredited and that you're not paying for it. Full stop. So we'll keep this on everybody's radar. House Bill 245, literally the next day after you and I talked the next time. Yep, full thumbs up. Yes, they got that signed. So that will go into law after its 90-day waiting period, which will be June 30th.
Oh, yeah, June. Yeah.
June 30th. So super exciting for those families and that recognition. And now we're waiting for Max Miller to take this at the national level. So if you know your national representation, call and kick their high chairs a little bit and get them going on the national level.
For those that missed the last meeting, that bill basically recognizes the loss of the 13 military people when they were evacuating the last day of Afghanistan at the Abbey base. So that's what that bill was. Just recognizes them, reminds the world to not forget them. So that's what it is.
Correct. Yes. And that whole series that the whole episode that David and I did on the last one will remain live on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back and watch those. The next one is the Honor and Remember Flag Initiative. We spoke about this last time, and you want to give us an update on where we're at?
That's not on my list. I can't talk about it. You didn't tell me.
David, I swear, all the way down at that bottom, all the way down at the bottom, I swear.
That's the new list. I haven't looked at that yet. Okay. Honor and Remember Flag. Yeah. Representative Joe Miller has been pushing this this is his third General Assembly that he's put this bill in. A very simple bill and doesn't require anybody to do anything. Doesn't cost the government anything. There's absolutely, in my thinking, absolutely no reason this bill should not get passed. What it does is tells the government of Ohio, the governor basically, to accept this flag as a flag. That's all it really does. It does suggest that they fly the flag on Memorial Day on the grounds. Doesn't have to be on the State House, on the grounds of the State House. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't require anybody to have to do anything. It's a great flag. The big pushback is that it reminds people of the current Vietnamese flag, which is solid red with a big yellow star in the middle of it. This is half red, half white with a yellow star with a blue border around the star, and it's got a flame in the middle of it. Doesn't even come close. to reminding me of that bill, of their flag. So that's the big push against it. It's been approved, I think, in 30 states now, 29 or 30.
Yeah.
Every time he makes a new bill, it's a different number because more keep adding. So that's good. He started off trying to get the federal government to, when I say he, the maker of the flag, the founder of the flag, came up with a flag to remember his own son who was killed. And so he came up with a flag, tried to get the federal government, and is still working on that, to accept it as a flag. Again, can't get it to go anywhere, and he keeps reintroducing it. And is in so many cases, can't get it done in the federal end, then get it done in 50 states, and it does the same thing. So he's been pushing states, and each time it comes up, it's more states have agreed to allow it to be a recognized flag. That's all it is. There's a lot of push from various different people that they just don't like the flag. There's no other reason. They just don't like the looks of the flag, and they come up with all the different reasons why they don't like it, or they think those reasons are why they don't like it. And I can tell every single time why that is baloney, that they do like it. Obviously, I'm okay with his flag.
I just think this is a good topic for us at this point. We're coming up on Memorial Day. It's, it's meaningful to the families of those that have lost loved ones, especially in an active duty situation. But especially if you've never been in that situation, right? Like I always tell people, don't judge a situation you've never been in yourself. So, this is meaningful to those families, and it's something that they have actively asked for. Like you said, this gentleman had lost his own son as well. We're approaching Memorial Day. I would just ask everyone, especially in this situation, these are families who are grieving. We have a few friends ourselves. This is one that, be thankful you don't know what this feels like, and it's their flag.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as what has happened in the previous two General Assemblies is, since there were people arguing against it and not enough of a good solid proponent base on it, those that had the bill in their committee sat on them and didn't let them to go anywhere. So they just died in the last two General Assemblies. Joe Miller is going to try it one more time. I don't know if he's coming back next year. He's up for election. He's running for the Senate this time instead of the House, but we'll see where it goes. I, as a member of the VFW, cannot say, this bill's good, pass it, because our national organization voted against it at our last convention. So I have to go with what they say. And again, it's not enough people were aware of the situation, and it came up on the floor, and it was like, oh, okay, well, whatever.
Right.
Yes, unfortunately. So
well, David, you were full of
I like what Joe's done. I can't help him with the hearings on it this time though.
Right. Yeah. You are so full of information. See, you teach me something every time. You think you're not. I'm going to prove you wrong every time we do this. And we spoke for extra time this time. So I think we should just end this with, hey, by the way, we're about to be on an election. So the best thing you can do is go vote. Go vote, go vote, go vote. In this state, you can early vote, go vote.
Do your homework first, though.
Touche, my friend. David, it was lovely to chat with you. I will see you maybe in a few weeks.
That sounds good. Where are we going to meet?
We'll have to do that offline. We'll discuss that offline.
Okay. All right. That's the deal.
All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next month.
Bye-bye.